Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Jacinta. If this is your first time here, thank you for stopping by. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how to cut and sew this one sleeve asymmetrical top. If you're not interested in learning, kindly watch to the end. And if you're yet to subscribe, please hit on the subscribe button below and also turn on the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload a new video. So without wasting much time, let's jump right into the tutorial. So this is the fabric I'll be using for this tutorial. This is a flower vintage and I have 1.5 years here. Starting off with the pattern, I'll fold my pattern paper into two. Placing my tape on the tip of my pattern paper, I will mark 9.5 inches downwards, which is my bust line. I will mark 15.5 inches, which is my half length, and the full length, which is 18 inches. I will square across these lines and also label them. On the tip of my pattern paper where I started the measurement from, which is also my shoulder line, I'm going to mark half of my shoulder measurement, which is 7.5 inches. On that point, I'll come down by 1.5 inches for my shoulder slope, then mark 3 inches inwards from the center, then connect the 3 inches to the 1.5 inches I came down by. Note that this 3 inches is not the main neckline, it's just serving as a base. On the bust line, I'm going to mark quarter of my bust circumference. That is my bust circumference divided by 4. So I'm going to mark it on my bust line and I'll add extra 1 inch for ease and 1.5 for sewing allowance. I'll do the same on the half length. I will mark quarter of my waist circumference and I'll add 1 inch for ease and 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. Same thing on the full length. I'm going to mark whatever measurement I got on the half length. I'm going to impute it on the full length. So the customer I was making this top for wanted the top to have a basket at the waist area. So placing my tape on the full length, I'm going to come downwards by 6 inches on the center front. Then I'll connect it to the measurements I marked on the full length. I also connected the measurements I marked on the half length and bust line. Now for the sleeves, I wanted the top to have a cut together sleeve, but my pattern paper was not long enough for the sleeve, so I had to add extra pattern paper from the shoulder to the bust line. So I added on both sides of the pattern paper so that I can mark the full sleeve. Now that I've added extra paper, I'm going to mark the length of my sleeve. Placing my tape on that 3 inches neck width that I marked, I'm going to mark the length of my sleeve. I marked 15 inches from that 3 inches neck width. So depending on the sleeve length that you are working with, if you want it longer, you can impute your desired sleeve length. I also came down by 1 inch on the full sleeve length for the new shoulder slope. So the shoulder slope we marked earlier was no longer relevant, so I'm going to connect it this way. Go ahead and connect yours and I will cut it out. When you cut up to this point, you're going to stop and then you open your pattern paper up. You will not cut the sleeve, so you're going to open your pattern paper and you're going to cut only one side of the sleeve because this top has one sleeve, the other side is rope. Now for the other side of the sleeve, the one that has rope, I'm going to divide the wideness of this sleeve, that's from the shoulder to the point where the sleeve stop. I'm going to divide it into two. I will mark the midpoint and from that midpoint I'll come upwards by 1.5 inches and I'll also come downwards by 1.5 inches. I will use my straight ruler to square across to the full length of the sleeve. The 1.5 inch I marked downwards, I'm going to blend it downwards to the armhole and cut it out. Then the 1.5 inch I marked upwards, I'm going to connect it with a curve to the neckline on the other side, just like the way you see me doing. I'll go ahead and cut it out as well. So this is how it looks. You can see the outcome. You can see this side that has rope is not long enough, so I'll add extra paper to it. If you want the neck to be more deep, you can come down a little bit more and reconnect. So I wanted mine to be a little bit more deep, so I came downwards and I reconnected the curve. Like I said, I'm going to be adding extra paper to the side that has rope. The paper I'm adding is the same width, so I'm going to add extra paper to it so that it will be long enough to tie. Now I'm going to fold my fabric into two and place the pattern on it. I'm trying to arrange the fabric because the fabric was a little bit stretchy, so I'm going to fold the fabric into two, and I'll place my pattern on it. The side that has rope, you can as well add the desired length on the fabric. I've placed it. I wanted to cut it, but my table was not big enough because of that other sleeve that has rope. So I had to do the cutting off camera on the floor. So I'll go ahead and cut this and come and show you guys. And you also see the places I added allowance. This is it on the floor. I was done cutting, and as you can see, I added half-inch allowance for folding on the sleeve, the neckline, and this down part that has basque. And as you can also see, the part that has the rope, this is the part I'll be tying. I added extra paper. So that is it for the cutting. I've headed over to my sewing machine. I'm going to remove the pins and the patterns now. So the first thing I'm going to do now is to turn all the sides that needs to be torn. So I'm going ahead to cut a piece of fabric that I'll be using to turn it. It is 1 inch of width and it is very long enough. So I'm going to use this piece of fabric to turn the neck area and this side that has rope. If you have a bias, you can use a bias to turn yours, but I will advise you use the same fabric. I'm going to join this one shoulder with 1/2 inch. Then from here, I'm going to turn with this piece of fabric up to the end here. So you're going to do it just like the way you turn with a bias. You sew on the front and then turn it to the back and top stitch. So I'll quickly do this and come and show you guys. I have joined the shoulder of this one sleeve, as you can see, with 1/2 inch, and I've also folded this part. As you can see, how neat it is. I turned from the neckline to the end of this rope, and I did this only on the upper part. So what I'm going to do now is to close the two sides. For this part, I'm going to close from the full length, so 2 inches below where the curve started from. You can see where I'm pointing, and that is where I'm going to stop. It won't be too close so that your hand can pass through and it will not be tight. So I'm going to close with 1.5 inch because that is the allowance we added. This other side that has sleeve, I'm going to fold it twice at the full sleeve length, and for the closing of the side, I'm going to use 1.5 inch to sew from the full length to the end of the sleeve. I'm also going to use the 1 inch piece of fabric I cut out to fold the down part of this rope. I'm going to fold it just like the way we did for the upper part. I'm going to stop on the part where the joining of the sides stopped. I was done folding the down part of this rope, as you can see, up to this point, so you can see it, and I've also joined the two sides, and this is what it looks like. I've also folded the sleeve. Lastly, what I'm going to do now is to turn the down part, that is this basque area, with my piece of fabric. I'm going to turn it just like how you turn with your bias and how we did the upper part. I'm going to sew it front facing front and then turn it to the back and top stitch. When I'm done turning it, I'm going to give this a very good ironing so that everything will relax. Sorry guys, I couldn't show you guys the finished look of this top because I forgot to post it on my mannequin and take the picture, and after I've given it to my customer, I remember that I've not taken the picture, so I'm really sorry for that. But if you followed from the drafting to the cutting and the sewing, I guarantee you're going to get nice results. So if you've learned something new and you find this video helpful, please hit on the subscribe button, like, comment and share this video. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in my next tutorial.